Our journey today takes us back in time to a place of vast deserts and winding rivers in West Africa. Long ago, before the year 1200, this land was made up of many small kingdoms. These kingdoms often fought with each other, and one of the strongest was called the Soso Kingdom, led by a powerful and often cruel king. But in the middle of all this conflict, a story of hope was beginning to unfold. It is the story of a young prince destined for greatness, who would one day unite his people and build one of the most magnificent empires the world has ever known. This is where the Mali Empire's incredible tale begins, with a promise of unity and strength. The hero of our story is a prince named Sundiata Keita. As a boy, he faced many challenges. Some stories even say he could not walk for a long time. But Sundiata had a strong spirit and a powerful destiny waiting for him. He grew up to be a brave warrior and a wise leader, someone people could believe in. He saw how his people, the Mandinka, were suffering under the rule of the Soso king. Sundiata knew that if they worked together, they could be free. He dreamed of a future where all the Mandinka clans were united, living in peace and building a great nation together. Sundiata's dream wasn't just a fantasy, he made it happen. Around the year 1235, he gathered a great army of warriors from all the different Mandinka clans. He inspired them with his courage and his vision for a better future. At the famous Battle of Kirina, Sundiata and his united forces faced the powerful army of the Soso king. Through clever strategy and immense bravery, Sundiata's army won a great victory. This single battle was a turning point. It marked the end of the Soso kingdom's power and the very beginning of the mighty Mali Empire, with Sundiata Keita as its first emperor, or Mansa. Once the fighting was over, Sundiata Keita focused on building a strong and fair government. He was not just a conqueror, he was a unifier and a lawmaker. He created a system where a council of elders representing the most important clans would help him rule. This meant that different voices could be heard when making important decisions for the empire. He also established laws that promoted justice and safety for everyone, from farmers to traders. Sundiata's leadership created a solid foundation, a strong base upon which the Mali Empire could grow and prosper for many, many years to come. He was truly the father of his nation. The Mali Empire became incredibly wealthy, and the secret to its riches lay deep within the earth. The land was full of gold. Miners dug for this precious yellow metal, which was desired by people all across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. But gold wasn't the only treasure. Just as valuable was salt, which came from mines in the vast Sahara Desert to the north. People in West Africa needed salt to preserve their food and for their health, so it was worth as much as gold. The empire controlled the places where gold was found and the trade routes where salt was carried, making it a center of immense economic power. This trade in gold and salt created a bustling economy. Great caravans of camels, sometimes thousands of them, would travel for months across the desert. They carried gold from Mali to the north, and in return, they brought back giant slabs of salt, along with other goods like cloth, copper, and books. This exchange made the empire's cities grow into busy centers of commerce. Cities like Jenne and the legendary Timbuktu became famous meeting places for merchants from faraway lands. The emperor, the Mansa, made sure these trade routes were safe, and he collected taxes on all the goods, which made the empire even richer and more powerful. As goods and people traveled, so did ideas and beliefs. The religion of Islam came to the Mali Empire with the traders from North Africa. While many people continued to follow their traditional African beliefs, the rulers of Mali and many wealthy merchants adopted Islam. They saw it as a modern faith that connected them to the wider world. The emperors built beautiful mosques, which are places of worship for Muslims in the major cities. This new religion lived peacefully alongside the old traditions, creating a unique and tolerant culture where different beliefs could coexist and enrich one another. This blend of cultures turned Mali into a great center of learning. The city of Timbuktu, in particular, became world famous for its schools and universities. Scholars, poets, mathematicians, and astronomers came from all over the Islamic world to study and teach there. They wrote and copied thousands of books on subjects from law and religion to science and history. The people who told stories and kept history alive were called griots. They were respected storytellers and musicians who memorized the great deeds of kings and heroes, passing down the empire's history from one generation to the next through epic songs and poems. The Mali Empire had many great rulers, but the most famous of all was Mansa Musa, who came to power in 1312. He was Sundiata Keita's grandnephew, and he ruled during the empire's absolute peak of power and wealth. Mansa Musa was a devout Muslim, and his faith was very important to him. He's remembered not just for being incredibly rich, but for being a wise and generous leader who wanted to share his empire's greatness with the rest of the world. His reign is often called the Golden Age of Mali, a time of incredible prosperity, peace, and cultural achievement that made his empire famous far and wide. In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to make a pilgrimage, a special religious journey, to the holy city of Mecca in Arabia, but this was no ordinary trip. He traveled with an enormous procession that stretched for miles. It included tens of thousands of soldiers, servants, and officials, as well as hundreds of camels. Each camel was said to be carrying bags filled with pure gold dust. As he traveled through cities like Cairo in Egypt, he gave away so much gold to the poor and to local rulers that he actually caused the price of gold to drop for more than 10 years. This incredible display of generosity put the Mali Empire on the map for the entire world. When Mansa Musa returned from his journey, he brought back with him some of the greatest minds of the Islamic world. He invited architects, scholars, and poets to come and live in Mali. One of the most famous was an architect named Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, who introduced new building styles to the empire. He used mud bricks to construct magnificent buildings, including the famous Djinguereber Mosque in Timbuktu, which still stands today. Mansa Musa's goal was to transform his cities into world-class centers of Islamic culture and learning, and he succeeded beyond all imagination. Under Mansa Musa's rule, the empire grew larger than ever before. He expanded its borders, taking control of more territory and more trade routes, making the empire even more secure and wealthy. He promoted education and justice throughout his lands, and Timbuktu flourished, with its universities attracting even more students and its libraries growing with precious manuscripts. Mansa Musa's leadership brought stability and incredible prestige to Mali. His famous pilgrimage was more than just a journey. It was a statement to the world that a powerful, wealthy, and highly sophisticated civilization was thriving deep in the heart of West Africa. Like all great empires in history, the Mali Empire could not last forever. After the death of Mansa Musa in 1337, the empire began a slow and steady decline. One of the biggest problems was that the rulers who came after him were not as strong or as wise. There were often arguments and fights over who should be the next Mansa. This internal weakness made it difficult to govern such a vast territory. Without a powerful central leader to keep everything together, the different parts of the empire began to drift apart, and powerful local leaders started to challenge the emperor's authority, weakening the empire from within. As the empire weakened internally, it also faced threats from the outside. Neighboring groups who had once been controlled by Mali saw their chance to break free. Rebellions began to pop up in different corners of the empire. More seriously, rival powers started to attack Mali's borders. The Mossi people raided from the south, and the Tuareg nomads attacked from the desert in the north. In 1433, the Tuareg captured the great city of Timbuktu, which was a huge blow to Mali's wealth and pride. The empire was losing control of the very trade routes that had made it so rich and powerful. Another major reason for Mali's fall was the rise of a new power in the region, the Songhai Empire. The Songhai people lived along the Niger River and had been under Mali's control for a long time, but under the leadership of ambitious kings like Sunni Ali, the Songhai grew stronger and stronger. They began to conquer Mali's territories, including the important trading cities of Djen and Timbuktu. By the late 1400s, the Songhai had become the dominant force in West Africa, and the once mighty Mali Empire was reduced to a small kingdom, a shadow of its former glorious self. Even though the Mali Empire eventually faded away, its legacy is still alive today. It is remembered as a time when West Africa was a center of global power, wealth, and learning. The stories of great rulers like Sundiata Keita and Mansa Musa continue to inspire people. The tradition of the griots telling the history of their people through music and song continues in West Africa. The magnificent mud brick mosques in Timbuktu and Djenné stand as beautiful reminders of the empire's architectural genius. The Mali Empire proved that great civilizations could flourish anywhere, leaving behind a story of unity, faith, and golden achievement that will never be forgotten. And that's a story worth reading.